Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Global Speedrun Association. The very first thing we've got going on for you today is a Super Mario Odyssey any percent league race, this time between LilAggy and reyalsdiorteM. My name is D Dangerous. I'll be on the mic today commentating this race, which proves to be a pretty exciting one, as we both see these runners in Wooded Kingdom. Very interesting development here. Now, of course, this kingdom, if you're not familiar with the game, can be one of the games that gives these runners some of the most trouble. We've seen some interesting developments in Wooded in this league so far, including some falls into the out-of-bounds section, as well as some nut clip fails. You know, just about anything can happen here and will happen here. So it doesn't surprise me that these guys are in Wooded Kingdom, practicing about, messing about, but we will see them kind of set up for the start line as soon as possible here. Now, this race in particular should be a very interesting one. Rhea has a bit of a reputation for being the kind of racer that stays behind the scenes, doesn't really advertise what it is that he's doing, doesn't let anybody else know about his practice plans, but he does come out of the woodwork every so often with a PB announcement, and that is exactly what happened yesterday. Rhea getting a 101.04, putting him back in the top 10 for Super Mario Odyssey's any percent legacy category. Meanwhile, LilAggy does stream on the regular, does kind of advertise what is going on in his life more openly, I suppose, as far as Odyssey is concerned. He is becoming a bit of a darker side runner as of late, but does stay on the any percent grind and does prove to be a worthy contender indeed, his PB being a 101.59. So he has been playing very consistently throughout this entire league gameplay, so it will be interesting to see if he's able to carry this kind of momentum in the league so far forward and through to potentially an upset victory today. So we will have to see. The producer has asked these guys to prepare themselves for the race, so we will probably see them get to mess about for a moment, and then they will be on their way to the starting line. It does appear that LilAggy is taking a bit of a nap on the spawning moon platform there, so, you know, might just have to wake him up a little bit. There he goes. Flashing the new Tetris 99 game. I don't know if you guys have dived into that yourselves, but the epic, hot battle royale game of the century, in my opinion. Nothing can compare. All right, here they are at the start line. We have the producer counting them down, and they will be on their way, of course, into Cap Kingdom first. Now, judging from the history of this match, we could see a couple of very interesting things happen here. So we have seen that Rhea, again, very mysterious, but does seem to be kind of picking up on the fastest strats that do exist within the realm of this game, including things like Lake Clip, which has been discovered slightly more recently and been implemented into runs and even races on a more regular basis. LilAggy not quite comfortable, I suppose, putting that in his own runs, so we might not see that from him, but just about anything can and will happen. Now, I've always really loved the aesthetic of Cap Kingdom. It's maybe not one of my favorites to run because it's so short and a lot of resets happen, a lot of thrown controllers through the window, at the cat, just about anything you can think of. But that being said, the aesthetic is very like, you know, Nightmare Before Christmas type. And oh my goodness, right out of the gate here, Rhea diving off the bridge. This, you absolutely hate to see this. This is the kind of thing that you see. You know, anything can happen in these leagues, just about anything. I don't think we have seen exactly that happen yet, but Rhea obviously not going to be very happy with that. You could see that he paused his game in anticipation of resetting. This cannot happen in a race, of course. So Rhea, unfortunately, going to be behind at the most immediate moment possible. So already LilAggy coming out with a flying start, and that's exactly what he could have, he couldn't have dreamed of a better situation for himself right now. I would argue Reya has a little bit better movement overall. He probably does have the upper hand when it comes to just the better lines, the more solid execution. So as long as Reya stays solid, he probably won't have much of a difficult time coming back. That penalty will cost him maybe about 25 seconds. So hoping all goes well, he should be able to kind of bring it back. Kind of hope on LilAggy to make some mistakes, but also missing left side here. Very interesting. This Cap Kingdom is not looking very spicy for Reya at all. LilAggy has already done the topper fight as Reya enters it. And he is going to finish off. And this is looking to be like a 244 Cap exit, which is not what you want to see. Not at all. Maybe 234. Perhaps I did my math wrong there. But, yeah. Certainly not good. Oh, maybe I am. I'm just doing my math wrong all over the place, guys. Forgive me for that. But, yeah, 240-ish coming out of Cap Kingdom. Definitely not what you want to see, especially in a high-intensity race situation. LilAggy already flying through Cascade. Now, I've noticed that LilAggy does this setup as if he's going to do the wall jumpless FMS version here, but then he gets jebaited and just goes for the wall jump anyways. So things like that. That up throw is probably not entirely necessary to get all the way over to do the wall jump version. So if Reya decides to do the wall jump version, he can do it without that cap throw, as you see here. But he actually takes a bonk on the rock, and all of a sudden, still losing time over Aggie in every single element of these movements, of these tricks. Reya cannot catch a break in this early part of the game, and that's going to cost him. That's going to kill him. All right, and again, entering a boss fight right as LilAggy is finishing. So, this gap is widening just ever more slightly. LilAggy playing it the way that you need to see it be played, not taking any huge risks. Again, not going for the wall jumpless version of FMS or anything crazy like that. We haven't really approached any part of the game yet where some very, very high, costly mistakes can happen. I mean, with a situation like Reya falling off the bridge, that's one thing, but no substantial tricks that really get underneath runners' skin, none of those tricks that really throw the whole balance of the race off have arrived yet. We have FMS, but FMS is rather easy, so we will be seeing these runners going for the chest clip here. That could potentially bring the gap a little bit closer if LilAggy were to fail that attempt, but as far as run-ending tricks go, we are not quite there yet. We still have Sand Kingdom ahead of us, and that's where things get rather spicy. And LilAggy actually getting a very nice chest clip out of there, getting the dive onto land exactly the way you want to see it. Got the optimal height outside of the warp there, so exactly what you want to see from a chest clip. Reya is going to have to emulate this in order to keep the pace. He's got a lot of work ahead of him. This chest clip does look good. He looks like he's in an okay position, but actually does indeed once again get jebaited by the video game. You just can't seem to catch a break. Everything that is happening for Reya here is just not working out. And he's going to be playing catch-up. Yeah, Kitten is rooting for Reya to make the comeback. So LilAggy getting what we call the fast action guide skip there. Now, for some reason, right before Sand Kingdom, Cappy decides to show you a little bit of an instructional book on how to play the game. We obviously do not want to look at that. So there is a point in our mashing where we have to skip that, and it just so happens that there are about 3 different speeds at which we can do that, and it seems rather random. Some of the top runners seem to think that there is a way to make it fast. Reya also getting the fast one there. Sometimes the text will just continue flawlessly and into the next scene, whereas sometimes you have to wait a brief moment. Both of these guys getting the trick just fine, though. Not really a trick, to be honest. More of a mashing and praying for the best. And so these boys are about 2 moons apart from one another, looking at probably about 20 to 25 seconds. LilAggy still holding on to his lead, but he will be approaching the first kind of major trick that can lose some time in this run. That trick, of course, being the Dram strat, getting its name from Super Mario World runner Dram, who used to be a very prominent Super Mario Odyssey runner in the very early days of this game. And just like that, he is going to be missing the setup. Unfortunately, not getting enough height to get on top of that main platform to do the trick. At least he didn't try to go for any setup ideas and fail the trick that way. That does lose you quite a bit more time, but just by falling down, he is going to be losing some time. Also going for the crate, which is very mysterious. I haven't really seen that from any top runner in the past, so I'm not sure. Maybe he's replacing notes for this. Rhea, on the other hand, is going to be setting up for the Dram strat here and does get it flawlessly. So it does look like Rhea has caught up just a tiny bit, but also have to keep in mind that LilAggy grabs the crate moon here, and that is going to put him 1 moon ahead. So if these guys approach the Oasis, LilAggy will not have to get the Notes moon, and he will still be holding on to a bit of a lead. But we still have the Sphinx clip coming up here. The Sphinx clip is going to set the tone for the rest of this kingdom. LilAggy approaching it first. Now, this is the one instance of a roll cancel clip within this particular category, which basically means that you just need to do a backflip to set up the distance of yourself between the wall, and then do a quick set of inputs to kind of roll, and then immediately cancel the roll as you boost into the wall, and that just kind of pushes you directly through. LilAggy having a little bit of trouble with the first one. Now, Rhea having a little bit of trouble with the second, able to get it on the second try, and with the optimization that these runners have, not going to be seeing very many problems with that setup. LilAggy, on the other hand, is on his 3rd try, 4th try. I think maybe he's doing what I did in my most recent race. He is going to be clipping back into the Sphinx room in order to save the bird cycle, and I think that's probably the smartest play here. Yeah, so getting it on the 2nd try is not a bad thing, so he will be getting the bird cycle fine here. Is going to be losing a substantial lead, though, that he did once have coming into Sand, and I think he might have handed the entire lead back over to Rhea here, but again, he is 1 moon up, so we won't really know entirely until we arrive at the Oasis and get globing for both of these guys leaving the kingdom. Rhea going for the more standard approach to this kingdom is going to be getting this Cactus Moon. The bird should be in a very valuable spot for him, maybe just a little bit further ahead than he would like, but he can throw his cap right here. Yep, and grab that bird, trying his best to get that ground pound moon out of the ground, does end up finding it here. And then he's going to be making his way over to these palm trees across the Oasis to get the Notes moons. LilAggy, meanwhile, only has 2 more moons to get, so he will probably be looking to get the bird flying around the Oasis, followed by the ground pound moon, and then he will just take a quick warp to go back to the Odyssey. So just like that, the race is coming closer and closer together. It does look like Rhea will be the first back to the Odyssey, and he will be taking the lead rather in this race. All of a sudden, just like that, the tides have changed, and Rhea is in the lead, being able to kind of make up for his sloppy performance in Cap and Cascade. Now, Lake Kingdom used to be kind of a relaxing place to be. You know, there's this nice water. You get to kind of chill with the fish, swim around a little bit. Nothing really scary happening here, but of course, being speedrunners, we are looking to break the mold on everything and anything that is relaxing and fun, and we like to go fast. So Lake clip is a thing now. And lake clip is a trick that we do see a lot of these top runners going for in these races. Rhea himself included in this. While being mysterious, he does reveal himself in these league races, and he does show his true colors and what he's capable of doing when it comes to these races. So we will see him probably attempt a lake clip. LilAggy didn't get the nice jump over the wall here, so going to have to go back and set it up. But that's okay. Avoiding Goombas on his way. One of the few elements of RNG in this run is actually the Goomba's placement there. Rhea, perfect setup for lake clip, and he's going to be going up over the wall. Ooh, weird cap throw there. Oh no, and he's gonna have to reset it up. He did not have the right dive angle there. Oh, he's actually just he's gonna bail on it. He's not gonna go for this lake clip. And all of a sudden, just like that, LilAggy is actually going to be taking the lead as a result. All of a sudden, LilAggy pulling ahead, didn't go for the lake clip, didn't even bother trying to set it up, and just because of that, Rhea is actually going to be taking the fall for his decision there. Absolutely insane stuff. And, you know, I think that if Rhea had maybe gone for another lake clip setup and gotten it as quickly as he did the first one and gotten the out of bounds movement on the execution a little bit more solid, he probably would have kept his lead. But just like that, LilAggy is going to be ahead. And they're both going to be fighting Rango, something that Rhea maybe doesn't do in his runs anymore. So it'd be interesting to see just what kind of development is going to happen here. Hopefully he's solid on his execution. Also, LilAggy taking some damage from these Goombas, and just like that, Rhea's back in front. Fighting Rango here is basically a timing game. You're looking to hit Rango in as many places, or as quickly as you possibly can. And Rhea having no difficulties. LilAggy also managing to do the fight just fine. And with that, we're out of Lake Kingdom, and an incredibly interesting development here. I was expecting the lake clip from Rhea. We actually did see him in his very last race attempt the lake clip and do what we like to call bathtubing, which means that you were not able to grab the checkpoint in the out of bounds section and you fell directly down into the inbound section below, meaning that you had to go for the old route anyways. But this time, a little bit different, did try to go for it and then immediately changed his mind and went for the regular route instead. So Spaghetti Fest 2019 on its way for both of these runners who just like handing these kinds of weird, flimsy mistakes back and forth and really making for an exciting race as a result. I was not expecting quite this level of closeness between these two runners, but it really is kind of coming down to who is making the weirder mistakes. And, you know, that can be kind of exciting in its own right. So, again, as far as the league is concerned, these points are based not necessarily on your final finishing times, but rather how you do in comparison to your opponent. So when it comes to the final time, it really is judged based on your actual race performance versus your opponent rather than just getting the best time. Of course, getting the best time will help, but if you both finish with a 104, you will still get more points than if one person finished with a 102 and the other person finished with a 104. So you can still get some points out of a match where both racers make a lot of spaghetti mistakes. That being said, LilAggy did take damage in the Lake Kingdom and was forced set back a little bit there. So Rhea does retain his lead that he had coming out of sand, even though the lake clip did not work out in his favor. But Wooded Kingdom is probably and arguably one of the hardest in the whole run. Lots of technicality here. Going fast really does mean kind of setting yourself up for scary things. And oh my goodness. Okay, Rhea's going to be trying to set up the nut clip here anyways. Oh, but he didn't get it, so he has to go around. I'm not sure. Maybe he's going to be going for the rock clip or something. Spaghetti Fest 2019 continues, ladies and gentlemen. And LilAggy misses... My goodness, so he's going to be going around as well. Now, okay, Rhea setting, oh my goodness, instantaneous rock clip. That is fantastic stuff from Rhea. That is exactly what you want to see. LilAggy not even going to give the rock clip the time of day. That is phenomenal stuff by Rhea. I was not expecting something so sharp and so precise to be done in such a manner. He just dove right up there, like basically into a spin pound and made that clip happen. And usually that clip requires some incredible setup. I have never seen anything quite like that. So good plays by Rhea here, making it work. LilAggy, on the other hand, going to be going to the very, very old route of Wooded Kingdom. This is the route that we used to do back in the days before Nut Clip, so we're talking probably around this time last year, maybe around May or June even. And so this route loses you probably about 25 to 30 seconds optimally to what we do nowadays. And Rhea probably only losing maybe 10 to 15 to what we do optimally nowadays. Made even better by the fact that he absolutely crushed that rock clip. It was disgusting. Disgusting how he made that rock clip look. So Rhea definitely going to be taking a very commanding lead going through this Wooded Kingdom. And grabbing this Story Moon first. None of these guys going for the tree route, which is probably in LilAggy's best interest and best favor. If he were to grab the tree moon, then he would be in a kind of a complicated position considering the moon orders. He would probably be looking to grab that Story Moon anyways. Rhea, on the other hand, did end up getting all of the natural moons in the regular World Peace route anyways, going for that rock wall clip, so no big deal for him. But Rhea does have quite the commanding lead coming through this part of the game now. He is in the tower. LilAggy going for his Flower Road skip. His setup looks good, and he is across with no major problems. So keeping pace as best as he can. I would say that Rhea probably has about a 20 to 25 second lead, but also have to take in mind that LilAggy does also have to go for the Spirit fight. He's already done his Pipeway room, which means there are no moons waiting for him at the bottom of this tower, like there is for Rhea. So we're going to see Rhea go off of the side of this tower here. Interesting little dive strat to spin pound off of that little opening in the wall, setting up a triple jump to get around to this nut at around the bend. And yes, because he hasn't been in the Pipeway room yet, he will be looking to do it now. He needs 2 more moons, and very conveniently there are 2 in this particular sub area, so he will be going in there. LilAggy, however, does have to do this Spirit fight. Does provide him with an opportunity to get some more coins. Not that that is entirely necessary for him. He does have enough. So long as he doesn't die too many times on his way to Snow Kingdom later, he should be okay. He should be just fine with his coin count and can buy the shop moon without any difficulties. Rhea is just about 10 coins short of that goal himself, but that's not a big deal. There will definitely be 10 coins to gather before you get there. So this race is looking spicy so far. But yep, Spaghetti Fest 2019 continues. It's amazing to see the kinds of things that can happen when you're under pressure like this. And, you know, usually it only happens to one of the runners. Usually in a situation where the nerves get really high, sometimes the game throws a curveball at somebody and kind of causes a blowout. But in a situation like this, you know, in a situation like this, it really does come down to who does the game hate the least. And in this situation, it currently hates Rhea the least, especially when it comes to his phenomenal recovery of that missed nut clip. It did look like Rhea was trying to go for some sort of setup to make the nut clip happen, but it is extremely difficult once the moon is already spawned in. So he did have to go for the rock clip backup, but it looks like he has been practicing, and that is just a sensational backup by Rhea. Something that I actually never would have expected to see. Now, Cloud Kingdom, if you guys are unfamiliar, this is our first interaction with Bowser. He doesn't like that we're going to try and crash his wedding, so he tries to stop you on the way to Metro Kingdom to have a little brawl, literally punching him right in the face. And these guys making this fight look easy, of course. The idea here is that you stand back and wait for Bowser to hit his hats towards you and capture his hats so that you can kind of punch him, but we have determined a way to kind of immediately capture the hats by standing in a particular proximity. and just capturing the hat immediately, which also has the added benefit of being right next to him as you perform those movements. So making the fight look rather easy. There are a couple of things that you can do to optimize the fight further, including the movement into the arena itself, a la some cloud boosting strategies that we see from particular runners such as Fur. I think Fur is maybe the only one crazy enough to go for such things, but that being said, Cloud is done for both of these runners. Rhea the first into Lost Kingdom. Now Lost is still and can still be a very scary place to be. You tend to try and block out the fact that there is a purple poison barrier underneath the stage that can kill you at just about any moment. So you have to be very safe. You have to be very cautious. You have to make sure that you don't do anything too crazy or too wild so that you do not fall back into the poison. The Odyssey, of course, is your only point of reference for this kingdom. If you die, you go back there. So the further you get into the kingdom, the more costly the mistakes get. That actually looked very scary for Rhea. It looked like he might have dove directly at that tree branch, but was able to get just over it. No bonks today. And he is swiftly flying through the stage. Breaking open that wrecked rock block, jumping off the side over the cliff's edge, and then grabbing this wrecked rock block moon to accompany it, and then he's going to be performing what we call the cage triple, so a long jump into a triple jump off of that platform, off of the tree, and then directly onto this tree to break open the cage with the trapedal. That whole jump has to be done with Cappy out of your possession, so you do have to be very tight on your jump. Getting one last moon underneath the bridge and then coming out underneath it to finish off the Odyssey. That was a very solid Lost Kingdom. Probably the cleanest kingdom that I've seen from either runner this entire game, in fact. Shoutouts to Cheese himself for the subscription. Oh, LilAggy, oh no. Getting hit in the face by the trapedal here. Getting bodied completely. He's going to have to be going for a backup. So he's going to go into the stone cage instead. You hate to see that. That's probably the worst way to mess that up. You can, obviously you'll die, but sometimes you can get missed by the trapedal and die and then just come back and gather the moon, and that's not a big deal. But this one, you know, definitely hurts. Probably stings to get hit right in the big fat nose with a trapedal there. So LilAggy showing a little bit more spaghetti in this Lost Kingdom and giving a little bit more of a lead to Rhea as a result. Rhea, I think, coming into his confidence, I imagine that after pulling off that fantastic rock clip, he is probably beaming. He has to be feeling the energy of that. He has to be working on the momentum of that. And if he isn't, he should be, because that is exactly what he's going to need to make this this run really his and make this race come out as a UW. So it's very important that he's able to hold on to that momentum. No more spaghettification from Rhea, I hope. No more spaghettification from anybody, if you ask me. That would be good. Rhea showing a solid effort through this, immediately starting Metro Kingdom. Not going for any crazy elevator skip strategies here. Just going for the traditional route. The safest way to do it, I would imagine. Saving about a second doing it the scary way, but also you just never really know how it's going to turn out. Anytime you fall in the City Hall portion, you obviously have to start at the very bottom and go all the way back up, so it is a scary platforming section indeed. And of course, as I say that, Rhea takes a bonk on the railing, and he's going to be going for a dive, and he's going to be getting what I call a ground bonk, meaning that he does kind of suffer some stun damage there. Not damage necessarily, but he is going to be taking a hit, and now Spaghettification 2019, boys. It continues. The Spaghetti Fest never ceases to end. And just like that, we are basically tied again. Rhea does hold on to just a very, very marginal lead to this, but LilAggy is right hot on his heels. And he falls again! The chest actually eating his cap throw and forcing him to fall all the way down. Rhea cannot be happy with this at all. LilAggy is flying through the stage. He can make the lead his if he goes and he makes the jump. So he's going to be going and leaving this City Hall before Rhea is able to. That has got to sting. Rhea losing his maybe 35-second lead as a result of a fall in the City Hall. And that's what I'm talking about. That's just how costly this City Hall can be. absolute bananas. This race, just, I don't even know what to expect. I thought I had an idea of what these runners were capable of, but this race is proving me otherwise. And now we fight the Wiggler. And Rhea does have about 5 seconds of a disadvantage coming into this fight here, maybe a little bit more. So just when I thought that Rhea might be kind of riding the pride, riding the momentum from such a successful Wooded Kingdom, considering the mistakes still made, I may have cursed it. I may have actually done that. And here we are in a situation where LilAggy has taken the lead again in what has to be one of the most bizarre races I have ever witnessed in Super Mario Odyssey. Both of them getting a nice wiggler pattern there. No real difficulties to write home about here. No 3 cycles. And so with that, LilAggy's going to be the first into Day Metro. But this is one of those kingdoms that actually does prove to be quite difficult for some runners. We do have some tricks up our sleeves that can make this kingdom go horribly wrong very quickly, including this beginning section. So approaching the scooter clip is the very first thing that we do here. Going to be using this scooter to kind of bypass the entire RC car minigame. And if you mess that up at all, it kind of throws the entire cycles of this beginning portion out of whack. You kind of have to fight with some taxis. LilAggy starting the kingdom off just the way that you would expect Spaghetti Fest 2019 to go, with a bonk against the platform, giving Rhea a little bit of time to catch up. Both setting up for their Metro drams here. LilAggy will still be the first one to approach this scooter. Got to do the drive-by, and he misses the scooter clip. So he's going to be coming around, trying to set it up again. And, oh my goodness, almost perfect sync here on the moon grab. Rhea taking the lead by just a tiny bit here. And he's going to be, oh my goodness, this is what sync looks like. Getting the spin pound, getting the cap throw. Does look like Rhea's setup for this Metro Jam was actually just a little bit faster. And he is having the cleaner day Metro. You can see that by the taxi situation, just how close these guys actually are. And how much the route really significantly changes depending on how fast or slow you do it. So LilAggy's taxi is actually quite a bit a ways up the street, whereas Rhea beat his by a long shot. And just like that, Rhea has recaptured the lead. Albeit by about 2 seconds, but just about anything can happen still. We haven't approached all of the tricks in this kingdom. We're going to see Rhea on his way first to Pauline here. Actually, surprisingly not. They're actually talking to Pauline at exactly the same time. So it looks like LilAggy maybe had a bit of a better line with that pylon flick and was able to make up some substantial time over Rhea just from that. It's amazing to see kind of the differences here. And we have an almost perfect sync, but it does look like Rhea has just a marginal lead still. And, oh, Rhea forgetting perhaps how to play the video game for a moment, giving LilAggy the lead again. This is what I'm talking about, folks. I honestly have no idea what to expect. I don't know who's going to do what. It's all just down to interpretation at this point. The ground pound moon happening synonymously. LilAggy giving the lead back, and we're basically looking at a perfect sync as we talk to this bassist. I don't know what to expect. This could go either way. I'm basically just waiting for somebody to, I don't know, do a ground pound when they're supposed to dive somewhere, or bonk against the wall and fall and give the lead back. I don't know what to expect. And this would be the perfect place for such a thing to happen. Both of them getting the actual nice spin pound around the corner. LilAggy's line did look a little bit less optimal there. Rhea getting a little bit closer to the garbage there than LilAggy was able to. You can tell by the girder placement actually there that's kind of on a cycle of its own. Not an important one, but one that I use as a visual cue to tell how far along these runners are and how fast they were able to get there. Now the City Hall climb can be a scary place indeed. You can see LilAggy, oh my goodness, I don't know what was really going on there. But Rhea definitely had a better line there, was able to get the spin pound off the top. And that's what you like to see. So Rhea is going to be kind of running away with a lead in Metro Kingdom here. Does get the bullseye. LilAggy right behind. Looks to be good as well. Kids cannot believe the race that we are having. showing her support for these runners in any way that she can. And as they roll through, it does look like Rhea is going to be holding on to just a minor lead here still. But they are warping to the Odyssey at the same time. And just like that, it's amazing to see how close this race is getting. Again, I have no idea what to expect. I'm kind of speechless. You know, I always do say things like anything is possible. Just about anything can happen in these races. You know, anyone can make a major mistake at any given time, but this race has been a showcase of just about when everything goes wrong. Nothing really working in the favor of either of these runners, you know, but in a situation like that, I think it can be good as well. If you know that you and your opponent are both making these kinds of crazy mistakes, you might be in a position of kind of confidence. You might be in a position of calming and relaxing a little bit. You might not be so worried about trying to make everything work because you've already been kind of hecked over by the game, you could say. So I know personally in a situation like that, I tend to relax a little bit more because I know that, you know, the worst is behind me probably. So I can just focus on the rest and hope that everything works out. That being said, perfect sync on the spin throw roll cancels there, but LilAggy actually getting a little bit more of an optimal line, talking to Captain Toad, so he will be taking the lead here. It all comes down to this movement into Shiveria. Rhea with an interesting path up to this Shiverian entrance hole. Didn't look to be quite as optimal as LilAggy's did. Oh, and LilAggy actually missing the crates here. This is very, like, such a strange race. I don't even know what to expect. Dives right past the crates and doesn't get on top of them like Rhea was able to. It's like that, Rhea takes the lead again. And LilAggy getting bodied by this railing. This railing is infamous for weird wall jump mechanics. Sometimes you just kind of go in the wrong direction. It can send you directly downwards. Now we are approaching a place where another trick can be utilized using moon clips. This moon here in particular, if you hit the wall, if you do a backflip into the wall in a particular way, you are able to clip through it and then get to this loading zone a little bit faster. It doesn't look like either of these runners are attempting to go for such a thing. LilAggy having a lot of difficulty getting the ground pound moon in the first place, so it doesn't surprise me that he's just going to go for the potentially safer alternative here. Rhea, very clean, blowy Joey room, as we call it. These guys are actually known as Typhoos, but I guess they were given the nickname Blowy Joey early on in this game's speedrunning development, and I think it's very fitting. They do look rather like a Blowy Joey, in my opinion. Rhea really clean on his execution there. LilAggy, we did have a little bit of technical difficulties with just a couple dropped frames, but it looked like he was clean as well. So coming into this Goomba room now, interestingly enough, we do have LilAggy in the runners chat saying things like, I don't know about Snowdram anymore. This run doesn't really prove to be very consistent. I don't really trust myself with any hard tricks anymore. And, you know, I don't blame him at all. This race has not gone at all the way that any of these runners probably want or could have intended. That being said, he did not get the shop moon early on, which would be a pretty good indicator of the Snowdramless route. So we will probably see an attempt of Snowdram by LilAggy here. Rhea definitely going for Snow. Going to be getting the shop here now. Does have enough coins, thankfully. No spaghetti there. And after this shop, he will be warping up to the Odyssey to try for the Snowdram trick. Now, if I were to expect spaghetti to happen, this is where it would be. This trick, while these runners definitely have it kind of set up in their minds, how it works, how it goes, this can sometimes throw you off if you do not have proper timing. Looks like Rey's setup here was a little bit sloppy, but was able to get it on the second try. And he is going to be up and over, just like that. His setup was actually quite a lot slower than Aggi's was. And LilAggy is going to be making up just a little bit of time here as a result, it looks like. So, you know, still an incredibly close race. And of all of the kingdoms that I would expect these kinds of weird and, you know, really, really costly mistakes to happen, Snow Kingdom is one of them, but it didn't happen here. It happened literally everywhere else. So, Snowdram, first attempt, both of these runners on their way to Seaside. We're about to see some new Seaside routing here. Now, as far as this route goes, it's still incredibly new. We're going to be using a cheap and some weird out-of-bounds mechanics to clip into the wall and out of bounds. And along with that comes some new routing and some new movement opportunities. So we will see just how these runners approach this new route to see if they can cling on to some more seconds. Starting here with this wall climb. Reya going for a more kind of traditional method here. Just a triple jump into a dive, cap throw against the wall. LilAggy following suit here, looks to be about the same. Does get the nice cap throwless wall jump against the side wall. That's exactly what you like to see. Now just getting a couple more moons in the land portion. And here you're going to see Reya dive out of the hole and directly go straight. This is not what we used to do. We used to kind of follow the cliff along the same direction and get a Notes moon that was kind of towards the western portion of the kingdom. But now we're just going to grab a cheap and kind of continue along with the route as normal afterwards. And, you know, swimming around like a fish, this is exciting stuff. And you might think that there's not a whole lot going on here. You're just a measly little cheap trying to swim through, gather some coins, avoid some seaweed, you know. What could be so crazy about that? But it really does come down, a good seaside versus a great seaside really does come down to this particular section here, this fish movement. Making sure that you're taking the optimal lines, making sure that the cheap does have its speed at maximum the entire time you're going about this, making sure that all of your ground pound moons are being done as quickly as they possibly can, as well as all the moons being grabbed in a way and in a manner that is as fast as possible as well. This particular section does look rather easy, but it does, just like you saw Reya do there, it does cost a lot of time when you miss things such as that. So there does have to be quite a level of focus. But we do see Reya setting up for this cheap clip now. Does look to be getting it on the first try. His first cap throw didn't look fantastic, but that's okay. He's going to be coming through. Getting this moon from the out of bounds. Very important here that you do not go too close to this moon, because that's when things can really go wrong. If you clip back in bounds, you have no choice but to either do the fish clip again, which is incredibly slow to go all the way back up, or just talk to the Sphinx. So both of these guys staying out of bounds, good for them, and they are on their way to luncheon now. And now, if I was to imagine a kingdom to go wrong, welcome to Spaghettification 2019. This would be the kingdom that would go horribly wrong. It does look like these runners are finally finding their groove, which is a good thing. But of course, knock on wood, anything can go wrong. And we have seen that in this race for sure. So even though these racers are kind of falling into their element, falling into their groove, maybe playing a little bit better now that the race has kind of commenced and gone on a little bit longer, you know, maybe now is when things start to really come together for both of them. And we shall see here, starting with the salt pile triple. Both runners getting it just fine. Nice and clean. Rhea almost taking a dive into the lava, trying to compensate by going a little bit to the left there and taking a hit against the hot tomato. So, gonna have to suffer a damage refill here, giving LilAggy a little bit of time to catch up. Oh, and LilAggy just missing the platform, trying to skip the cutscene very quickly there, but unable to. So maybe giving that time back just a little bit. Not a big deal. And here we are in Spirit Fight number 2. Of course, number 2 for LilAggy. Only once for Rhea. Was able to avoid any wooded complications with a fantastic rock clip earlier on. And now, going back to the league format and what kind of point situations these runners are going to be looking at now. We are in week 6, I believe week 6. So we probably do have a pretty good grasp on how these points work, but essentially, the winner of this race will be walking away with 40. 40 points being kind of the base for the winner, but after that is a pool of 20 points that initially goes to the loser, and every 10 seconds that ticks by, as the loser is finishing up his race, 1 point will go over to the winner. The pool starts at 20. The most you can lose, I suppose, as the loser is 19, and that being essentially a 3-minute difference. So for every 10 seconds, you lose 1. So if these guys were to finish both at 104, and then the second runner comes in at 104.10, or 104.11, let's say, then you would be looking at a difference. You would get 18 points for the loser and 42 points for the winner. So it all really does come down to comparison against your opponent than it does performing at absolute peak. Rhea getting his spin throw eaten there, so he's actually going to have to wait for the Podoboo to come around. LilAggy going for the camera manip version here, which might be in his best interest. Did get a weird down throw situation here, and okay, he's able to get the capture there still, which is probably in his best interest, but does bonk against, you know, Spaghetti Factory 2019, still coming in strong here. But yeah, and what is all of this league action leading up to? Well, coming to you in April 25th to the 29th, I believe, maybe the 28th. I think it's the 28th. 25th to the 28th, we have a live speedrunning competitive event coming your way. Pace 2019 will be held in Maryland. It is a live performance, essentially, of the top 4 runners in not only this league, but the Celeste League and the Super Mario 64 70-star League as well. They will be going head-to-head live with live commentary. It's going to be hype. It's going to be hot. You do not want to miss it. Type !tickets in the chat if you want to learn more about setting yourself up to attend this event yourself. Of course, there will be a 24-hour live stream happening of this event as the event goes on. So not only will there be these live competitions, but you will be seeing some showcase runs from some top level performers. Of course, we have released the full schedule of the upcoming PACE event, and it includes some very, very prestigious names. Names like Siglemic, names like ZFG are going to be there. And, you know, you just don't want to miss it. I'm incredibly hype. I will be there myself. If you want to meet myself, any of these runners, I know that a lot of runners, even if they don't make it into the top 4, are planning to attend the event themselves. Make sure that you hit that event up. It's going to be hot. You do not want to miss it. And now while we talk about pace, these guys did perform their turnip clip. LilAggy did have a little bit of difficulty setting up the clip. Didn't look like it wanted to work for him. His setup looked fine, but for some reason the Hammer Brother just didn't want to go in. He did not want any part of that turnip clip at all. Reya having a much better time with it and holding on to his lead as a result. And Reya first out, but we are witnessing this Odyssey power-up cutscene at the same time, which means that these runners are less than 10, actually probably less than 10 seconds apart from one another. This race is incredibly close still. Despite all of the madness, despite all of the mistakes, at least the mistakes were split up evenly between the runners. It is absolutely insane how close this race has been, considering all of the craziness that has gone on. And it really is anybody's race to take at this moment. We do have Ruined coming up. I don't expect there to be any mistakes in Ruined Kingdom, but you just never know. You just never know with a race like this. So Reya the first one into the arena. LilAggy right behind. And I don't know what happened to Reya in the last second here, but he's definitely, looks like he's given up a little bit of time somehow from the Odyssey power-up scene to now. Perhaps just not skipping a cutscene effectively or very efficiently. But LilAggy is right on his tail. The dragon basically throwing his head down at the same time. We are looking at maybe a difference of only about 5 seconds. And it's still close enough that anything can really set the pace of this race. All Reya has to do to kind of give up his lead is maybe take some damage on his way over to the Ogre Moon, or, you know, maybe just have to try and grab a shard twice, or something along the lines of that, and LilAggy will take the lead again. That's just how close this race really is. And if both of these runners continue to play optimally and just continue to kind of hold on to the momentum that they've gathered through the late game, it really could come down to the pillar room at this point. Just about anything can still happen. Now, this is usually where we initiate the Ruined Trash Talk section. Of course, this riveting gameplay brought to you by this Lord of Lightning here. What a fantastic dragon he is. The unfortunate situation with the Ruined Dragon is that there's nothing you can really do to speed up or slow down this fight. You just have to wait for the phases, wait for him to become vulnerable, pull his swords, and that is it. The fight is over. And you've basically just wasted 2.5 minutes. If anybody out there is working for Nintendo and knows a way to skip this particular fight, please hit me up in my DM box. I will be more than happy to listen to what can make this fight disappear. That being said, there are some very interesting elements to, as a speedrunner, as far as mentality is concerned, that the Ruined fight does bring to the table. You are coming out of Luncheon, which is arguably one of the scariest kingdoms in the run, and you are entering Bowser's, where your nerves are already high, and a very high-intensity platforming situation. So having Ruined kind of sit in the middle of that does kind of mentally prepare you for what is to come, what is going to be the end of the run. These runners are within the last 15 minutes of the run, so getting that little bit of a breather to just kind of reanalyze what is going on, what you can do, and recenter yourself is a very important thing indeed. Reya the first off in the kingdom, going to be rolling down towards these Goombas and through them and on his way here. First little platforming section upcoming. So Reya's going to be doing a spin pound into a couple wall jumps here, up on top. It's exactly what you want to see. LilAggy right behind. Didn't get the optimal spin throw, kind of got caught on the wall, but that's okay. Reya the first to approach this ogre, going for a long jump into a roll and a spin pound situation. And both these guys getting their moons just fine as a result. But now the worst is yet to come as far as Bowser's Kingdom is concerned. We are moving on to the shards portion, rather. So we're going to see that from Rhea first. And the idea here is that you want to try and collect these shards as fast as possible, of course, while avoiding these bombs, avoiding these Pokios, avoiding some Spinies down below. Rhea getting an extremely nice dive back strategy there. Going to be on his way through the roof. Getting a spin or a roll cancel there to grab that moon very fast. LilAggy right behind, not showing any signs of weakness coming in through this. And actually looked like Rhea had a bit of a slower attempt at this final shard. Did end up having to kill the other Pokio. And just like that, oh my goodness, we're almost synced on this moon grab. Rhea holding on to barely less than a second of a lead here now going into the next portion. And knowing LilAggy, I think he's probably going to be attempting the old school method of grabbing this moon. No Bowser Dram for LilAggy here. Having a little bit of a freeze action going on here. Can't really see what is happening at the moment. But it does actually look like LilAggy was the one who went for the Bowser Dram, and Rhea was the one who did not. And just like that, you are able to see sort of a live comparison of just how much that trick saves. It's probably about a second, and because of that, LilAggy is just about on top here. Almost perfect sync coming into the Harriet fight. I can barely watch. I'm on the edge of my seat here. As far as this race is concerned, I could not have expected anything quite this crazy. As long as these guys hold on, as long as these guys are able to play at their level as optimal as they can, we're going to be looking at a race that could really come down to the wire, literally at the end. Now you see Rhea is actually setting himself up for this fur Harriet strategy, as we like to call it. Doing a first-person strategy in a way that gets the bombs to come back to Harriet a little bit faster, but that is actually going to cost him as a result. LilAggy getting the safer method of the fight down. And as a result, is going to be into the topper fight, and LilAggy taking the lead now. Now, topper fight, in my opinion, the harder of the two. If you don't have your timing right on those jumps, if you manage to get in the way of the caps at all, sometimes you'll take damage and you'll have to go and chase him down. Neither of these runners having much difficulty here. But yeah, it's LilAggy out on top here. Rhea lost his lead in this Bowser's Kingdom due to some less optimal movement and just a little bit of a sloppier Harriet fight, just like that. So it's going to come down to LilAggy to play clean. If he wants to hold on to this lead, it's going to basically be up to him to make sure that he doesn't make any huge mistakes. Looking good so far, gets the quadruple crate break, making sure that that opening is nice and safe for him to proceed through the kingdom. Interesting approach to that Pokio, but does make it work. Does get the instant capture there. And Aggie the first one up the wall. Rhea right behind. Now this mech fight could really make or break the entire race. I imagine that these guys will be going for all the hardest strategies. We'll probably see a Harriet third from both. But this climb is arguably the hardest part of the entire fight. LilAggy getting a perfect climb. Rhea a little bit more sketchy, but does manage to make it work. Probably giving up a little bit more time to Aggie. Clean hit. Rhea setting up a very unique way of getting this topper hit. He kind of goes more direct towards it. It scares me, scares the living bejeebus out of me, but he is able to make it work for himself, so I guess whatever works is fine. LilAggy actually not opting for Harriet third here. He is not taking any risks. He's going to go for the Spewer third method here, looking to just play it as safe as possible. Meanwhile, Rhea going to be taking the chance, going to be setting up for the Harriet third hit here. And, oh, he misses target acquired, but he's still on the mech. Oh no, and he ground pounds down, and that is going to be exactly the mistake that I'm talking about. All it takes is one, and LilAggy does get his final hit, does prove to be paying off to play the safe strats here. You really do hate to see that, but oh my goodness, Rhea actually trying to get some sort of climb going isn't going to be able to make it work. So he's going to have to try and, oh no. Oh wow! Oh no! Oh my goodness, Rhea. Playing with my heart like this, I have never seen something performed in quite a way. I was not expecting him to be able to make it up with the bird in such a way, but then at the same time, just missing the hit, oh, that's such a heartbreaking thing to happen. And he's, oh no. Rhea taking the death in the Robo Brutal fight. He's going to have to do the entire thing again. So what was once a very close race is suddenly a landslide victory looking for Aggie. Of course, this race is far from over. The Moon Kingdom does have its share of things that can go horrendously wrong. But if Aggie knows the situation he's in, if he chooses to play safe, he can be coming out with a massive load of points. And you know, LilAggy very unassuming in this entire league situation. He has victories that you probably wouldn't have expected from him at all. He took a surprise victory against Fur Underscore, who was the favorite to win in that particular race, and he is running away with this one. It is very potential that he will also pull out the victory against Rhea. So Rhea, much cleaner second attempt at this fight, does get the Harriet third hit, does get target acquired, and now finally on his way, following through the Moon Kingdom. LilAggy the first to approach this kingdom. Bit of a weird vector there, did end up getting a lot of distance. Wasn't expecting quite as much distance as he got, so he knows something that I don't. Now rolling his way through the stage. Just a little bit of a bonk, you know. Spaghetti Factory 2019 can't end without just a little bit at the end, right? And LilAggy really taking his time here. I think he knows. I think he's in a situation where he knows just what can happen. Oh, that was very sketchy. I would not have trusted that particular single jump to work out the way that it did, but he knows something again that I do not, perhaps. And he's on his way to the cathedral now. And into the Bowser fight. And while this lead does look rather commanding, it is important to note that if LilAggy were to die, for example, on the third phase of this Bowser fight, Rhea would be right back in this. If LilAggy were to die on the 2D skip, he might still hold on to a lead, but Rhea would be back into this. If he were to die in the Pillar Room, Rhea would be in the lead. So it really does come down to this kingdom. It really does come down to how this kingdom plays out. Now Rhea approaching his vectors here. Also kind of the way that LilAggy's went, where they didn't look incredibly optimal to me. But he does make it across just barely. And Aggie approaching the final phase of this Bowser fight. Just got to avoid this incredibly scary looking fire breath into this phase. And he is going to be getting the damage boost, grabbing the hat at the optimal time there. Oh no! Okay, Rey is able to save it. The bonk is actually probably an optimal situation there. If he were not to bonk, he would be diving directly off of the cliff, and he would be falling to his death. So good thing for Rey to have bonked there, but actually giving up even more time. Oh no, Rhea. Oh, you hate to see this. At this point, it's all about Rhea bleeding away points. LilAggy is going to be running away with it. Again, it really is too early to tell, but at this rate, LilAggy is going to be coming away with the victory. But he's in the escape, and it really does come down to his execution here. Entering the 2D section. Crazier things have happened. We have seen 2D skip fails in the league performance already by a couple of different runners, including LilAggy himself. So you really would not want to see it happen again here. Get the first, the second, and the third jump is fine. He's clean and he's through. Having a little bit of difficulty getting up that one ledge, but again, not catastrophic, not going to cause a death of any sort. He's flying through and into the pillar room now. I think Rhea just showing off a little bit, perhaps, just going for these kind of flashier strategies, going into first person. Obviously very frustrated with how this race turned out, and I mean, I would be as well. You really do hate to see, like, looking back on it, it's amazing to think of all the crazy things that went wrong. Rhea starting this race off with a dive directly off of the bridge. You know, it's just, you hate to see these things happen, and yet it can still happen in this league. At the top level of gameplay, you can still see some of these mistakes happen. And now, considering all of the kind of mistakes and weird things that have happened in this race, LilAggy still coming away with a mid 103 time. Phenomenal. This has to be kind of the slowest race that we have seen from like two competitors. The winner, I don't think, has ever been any high or like any more time than a 102. So a 103.29 winning time, and it comes down to Rhea to basically try and make these points up. And for every 10 seconds that ticks by, he loses one more point. It's estimated that at this Bowser grab, we're looking at about a 2-minute time difference from here to the end of the game, if you play optimally. But making his way through the escape now. And as Rhea continues his escape, trying to go for this 2D section, we actually do have LilAggy in the call with us now.
Hello.
I don't even know what to say, to be honest.
Well, there's a lot to cover.
Yeah, I was going to say, why don't you fill us in on what you think this fantastic Spaghetti Fest 2019 is all about?
Yeah, so I got off to actually a pretty hot start in Cap and Cascade. I was feeling good. My warm-up went terribly for this race, so I was like expecting failure, and then like the first 5 minutes were actually like super good, and then I missed the Dune Moon 3 times, and then I bonked going for a jam, and then I missed Sphinx Clip. I don't even know how many times. And yeah, I was upset at first, and then I just kept messing up more stuff until it became hilarious, and then I saw that Rhea was messing up too, and it was just a really fun time, honestly.
That's kind of, it was honestly kind of what I was saying, is like you reach a certain point where, you know, you kind of look at the whole run and you think it really cannot get any worse than this. So you might as well just like relax, have a little bit of fun with it, just kind of finish out the race, and you know, at that point you're just happy to be on TV, right?
Right, yeah.
Rhea scaring me a little bit with his pillar there, but he is on the final platform and he is going to be busting open this rock. So looks like he's going to be coming in at a time of probably 105, I would say 48. Very interesting stuff. Almost very, very nearly the worst race time that we've seen in this league so far, but you know, it's I don't think that anybody could have really expected what is to come here. So he is going to be losing by a time of just under 2 minutes, meaning that he will be walking away with, I imagine, 8 points. LilAggy taking home 52 for himself. So, you know, despite a 103 time, you're actually making up a pretty substantial chunk of points for this race.
Yeah, not bad at all.
And I don't think anybody could have potentially expected that.
No, I imagine not. I hope not.
Rhea going to be opting out of the call, and I do not blame him. That was I would be at a loss for words myself as well. To be sure, it was an incredibly entertaining race to watch, despite all of the mistakes. You know, it just goes to show, if anybody is watching at home, if anybody wants to get into speedrunning and is intimidated by what these top runners are able to perform, just remember a race like this. At the top level, things can still go wrong, and things do often go wrong, just as often as they do when you start out. So do not be intimidated. I recommend that anybody try speedrunning who's even remotely interested in it. But thank you, LilAggy, for joining me in the call at the end here, and GG's on your victory.
Yep, it's been a pleasure.
This is the first of many exciting things to come up on twitch.tv/speedrun today. Coming up next at 3 p.m. Eastern, so just about 5 minutes, we have Super Mario 64 70-star League action coming your way. Do not want to miss it. Until then, I have been D Dangerous. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.